Hey guys, guess what? It's Angel. You're watching my latest video, and I always take just a minute to situate myself. I want to always welcome my new subscribers to my channel. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if you like this video at the end or whenever, give it a thumbs up. And also, if you're watching this and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. That's very, very helpful. I also want to preface this by just letting new subscribers or anyone that's watching this, letting you know I'm not a counselor. I'm not qualified in any way to give advice or anything like that. I basically make these videos just to talk about my journey and how I navigate my own mental health issues. I am diagnosed bipolar 1. I do have OCD tendencies, or they say that I'm borderline OCD anyway, whatever that means, but I do, I'm going to be talking about OCD today. That's what this video is about. So, and I do suffer from panic disorder and anxiety. I don't know if you'd call it social anxiety disorder, I guess, along with PTSD. So I have like a whole variety of wonderful things that I deal with. So today I want to talk about OCD, and I don't have like a great definition. I can't speak on like the DSM definition or anything like that. I did find a good website that I think is beneficial if you want to check it out. It is called Beyond OCD, and I'll put a link below. It's called beyondocd.org if you want to go online and check it out. And OCD is basically obsessive compulsive disorder. So you basically obsess about, you have like an obsessive thought, and then you compulsively, based on that thought, you respond in a compulsive way. So I'm just going to read here really quick what it says. Some examples, then this is from the website, some examples of obsessive thoughts are fear of being hurt, or germs, or contracting a disease. Compulsions can include repetitive tasks, frequent hand washing, frequent or repetitive cleaning, and checking on things. It says, let's see, OCD can be extremely burdensome to the sufferer, and it is, often impacting the day-to-day life of not only the person with OCD, but their families as well. I can definitely attest to that. And that, what I just read, it's not all-encompassing. So those just little examples of obsessions are just little examples. So they can go beyond like germs, or like getting hurt, or things like that. They also list, let's see here, people have obsessions or relating to discarding something, fears that something bad will happen if they throw something away, and I think that probably plays into people that hoard things. Fears of violating religious or moral rules is another thing that people can obsess on, and then they compulsively do something like praying, like all the time based on that. Fears or urges related to symmetry or order, and also fears or feelings, urges related to having something just right or just so or perfect. So it's a lot, right? And so for me, the way that it manifests in my life is I do have fears that I obsess about the fears that I have of my family, something bad happening to my family, fears that they're going to be hurt. Generally it sort of centers around car accidents, and it can go like I have fears that they're going to be hurt in numerous ways. Like I love my family. I don't want them to get hurt, and everyone loves their family, and everyone is concerned for their safety. But there's extremes that go beyond that. So for me, like if my husband is away, I'll stay up at night with these obsessive thoughts of like, he's driving on unfamiliar roads? Does he have a safe, he rents cars, like, is he going to be familiar with the new car that he's, because he drives a different car every time he rents it, is he going to be able to see on the road at night? Like, and it will just go and go and go. And so that's the obsession. The compulsion is then for me to call him and remind him to make sure he knows how to use all the new, the dash and all the auxiliary instruments, and to make sure that he doesn't use his phone while he's driving. And like, I have all these things like on this checklist that I make sure that he knows. And he's a grown man. He knows all these things, but my compulsion is I have to make that call. I have to make sure that I tell him all the things that I want him to do in order for me to reduce the anxiety of the obsessive thoughts. And I do the same thing with my son. And it's, even though I have made the call and it suppresses the anxiety for a bit, it doesn't stop the anxiety. The obsessive thoughts are still there. They still plague me, and I'll stay up all night worrying. And so there's the fear of my family being hurt, and that ramped up with COVID-19. Like, it just did when my husband was still traveling, and that was it made it intensify. And I also have fear that like something bad is going to happen to my dog. So it's like the fear of things, that is one of my obsessions. And then I have to compulsively act on those thoughts to suppress the anxiety. So the other way that it manifests for me is cleanliness. So I have a fear of germs. And this is a big one. This is a big one. A fear of germs, and also orderliness. And unfortunately, like, it does affect my family, because my anxiety transfers to them, and because I have to have things a certain way, they then are sort of not forced, but kind of, in order to control my anxiety, they kind of have to go in step with that so that it calms me. So some of the examples of the fear of germs is public transportation. And this is even pre-COVID. Public transportation is like not something I do. I don't want to sit somewhere that somebody else is sat that I don't know, because I don't know if they shower regularly. And this is not a judgment on that person per se. This is just a basic blanket, like, I don't know them. I don't know how they live. I don't know what their cleanliness is. I don't know, it's just a blanket, like, I just don't know. And even if no one, like, the seat is empty, I don't want to sit there, because I'm like, hundreds of people have sat there and I don't know who they are, and so I don't want to sit there. If I'm forced to, like, okay, I go to a doctor's office and I sit down in a public seat, I'll sit there, but the whole time I'm sitting there, I am having anxiety, because I'm sitting in a place that is not clean. In my mind, it's not clean. And so basically, as soon as I get home, I change clothes. I cannot sit on my chairs or my sofa or any place in my house until those clothes go into the dirty clothes and I put new clean clothes on. Before COVID, like, I always had antibacterial wipes with me, and if my arms or anything like that touched anything that was like other people had touched that I don't know who they are, I would like clean my forearms or anything like that. So I mean, the list goes on as far as cleanliness. And heaven forbid I go to a public bathroom and they don't have soap in the dispenser, or they don't have paper towels. Is one thing, like, I can air dry, and which is actually better than using paper towels. But so carrying antibac wipes, carrying sorry, that's my phone, carrying hand soap with me, like the little, just like little travel size carriers that you can put like hand soap in or whatever extreme you can imagine to try to calm that anxiety, like that is what I'm going to do. So there's this movie called The Aviator, and it's about, so Leonardo DiCaprio, he plays Howard Hughes, which Howard Hughes is like, I'm fascinated by Howard Hughes, and he actually had a lot of OCD tendencies. If he was not OCD, he had a lot of OCD tendencies. And that movie, like, I related to that movie 100%. So I didn't have the same, I mean, Howard Hughes had issues with germs for sure, but he had other issues as well. But the reason I bring up that movie is because Leonardo DiCaprio, the way that he portrayed Howard Hughes was so on point as far as, so there's a scene in the movie, and I'll end the video with this, just talking about this. So there's a scene in the movie, if you haven't seen The Aviator and you want to just kind of know a little bit more about OCD, there's a scene in the movie where Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Howard Hughes, he is talking to these two men, and these two men are there, they're in their suits, they're, you know, nice businessmen, whatever, and one of them has a piece of lint on the lapel of his suit. And Leonardo DiCaprio is like fixated on this piece of lint, okay? And he's tells the guy, like, he can't even look at him. He's just like, you have something on your suit. And the guys just he keeps talking, and he's like, you have something on your suit right there on your lapel. Now I'm watching this movie, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, the lint on the guy's lapel, like, that is not really, like, bothering me, even though I do hate lint, but that is not really bothering me. What was so on point in that scene was the level of anxiety that was emanating from the scene from Leonardo DiCaprio. The level of anxiety that he was emanating from his character was so on point with the level of anxiety that I feel when I'm triggered with one of my obsessions that I then have to compulsively act on to bring that anxiety down. And it affects your everyday life. Like, if I knew a way to fix it so that I could just be, and you know, my every therapist I've ever worked with says, do not use the word normal. But in my mind, that's what I think. Like, if I could fix it and be like everyone else who doesn't have this, I would do it. I would do it. Because it's one of the things that I have to deal with that is, like, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to want, it's one thing to be clean and orderly. It's another thing to obsess about it and to not be able to sleep at night because something is out of place in your house or in your car. And to have to get up in the middle of the night or okay, I said I was going to stop at that story, but I have one more example. So in that movie, there's also a scene where Leonardo DiCaprio, playing Howard Hughes, he has an issue in the restaurant where Errol Flynn takes something off of his plate, and they're eating, and he takes something off of his plate, and it just grosses him out, and he can't finish his meal, and he excuses himself, and he goes to the bathroom, and he starts his ritualistic hand washing, and he's washing his hands and washing his hands, And then he notices something on his white shirt, his button-down shirt, and he starts he can't handle that there's something on his white shirt, so he starts like washing it in the sink to get this stain out. I have had that happen before, and he walks out of there and like his shirt is just soaked. So I've had that happen before, like a meeting that I had to be to. And I'm bringing this up because I've had my OCD actually affect my job, which I don't currently work. I haven't worked for years because of my issues, but I've had it affect my job because I've had instances where I wanted to present myself in as perfect a manner as I could. Now there is no perfect, but when you have OCD, you have a thought, an obsession, like you have to be as perfect as possible. And I've had instances where I had a white shirt on, I got something on it, and I just could not go to a meeting with something on my white shirt. So I made a detour to the mall to find a shirt that I could replace my white shirt with before I went to a meeting. And it had to be the perfect white shirt. It couldn't just be any white shirt. It had to be the perfect one. And I would spend an hour going through each store looking for the perfect shirt before I got to the meeting. So much so that it made me late for the meeting. Now, did it matter to me that I was late for the meeting? Of course it did. Did it matter to me more that I made it to the meeting late but in a perfect white shirt? That mattered to me more, which is just doesn't make sense, right? But to me it made sense. But of course, you know, that's, I mean, when you have a job and you're supposed to be somewhere at a certain time, you know, your employer doesn't care that you have a clean, perfect white shirt on. So that's where it becomes an issue, and it can be, it affects your life. And in some instances, it can affect your life in a very, very negative way, especially when you're talking work and the things that you're being held accountable for. So that's the video. I hope you guys like it. With that, I probably, not that you guys really care, but I probably will do a life update video. It'll be, I don't know if I'll do it or not. I probably will, since I just mentioned it. I got COVID this year. That was not really fun. So I'll talk about that a little bit and why that's really like the main reason that I have gone so long without putting out content. So I'll talk about that. But anyway, with that, guys, I hope you like this video. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. And until we talk again, bye.